for the 15th regular meeting of the School Board of Charlotte County is hereby called to order. Here in Charlotte County, we will achieve our vision of student success through our mission. We will provide an innovative educational environment that allows and inspires success for everyone. To lead us in the pledge to the flag today, I am going to ask Chris Bress. He's had a difficult day with us, and we're going to make it more difficult. And if he, you can all stand and join us in the pledge. Yeah. Go sit back there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Chris. We absolutely appreciate the work that you do. Yes. Mr. Superintendent, do we have any additions and corrections to tonight's agenda?
Yes, we do. We have one addition. Item F2F, Personnel Addendum number 1.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the Personnel Addendum item F2F. Is there any board discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the addition, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Next item, reports. Mr. Superintendent.
We have 2 reports this evening, and we will go down in front for both. While we move down, I'm going to ask Donna Dunnicky to come to the podium for the first of the 2 reports.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, school board members, Dr. Whitaker, Mrs. Young, and esteemed guest. Thank you for this opportunity to recognize 2 of Charlotte County's finest teachers. The Florida Council for the Social Studies, FCSS, is a professional organization of social studies educators striving to maintain and enhance the importance of social studies education in Florida and around the nation. The Florida Council, along with the National Council for the Social Studies, sponsors annual conferences to promote public awareness of social studies education and its impact in our schools. Several educators from the Charlotte County Public Schools attended the FCSS 54th Annual Conference in St. Pete in October. And one of the highlights is the FCSS Teacher of the Year Awards Luncheon, which honors outstanding teachers from each of Florida's school districts. 2 very special educators were recipients this year of the SCSS Outstanding Teacher of the Year Award for Charlotte County, Mrs. Kathleen Moore for middle school and Miss Andrea Tarlowski for high school. So on behalf of the Charlotte County Public Schools, it is with great pride and pleasure that I call up Mrs. Kathleen Moore, a grade 6-7 social studies teacher from Punta Gorda Middle School, and her principal, Mrs. Kathy Corselletti, for a presentation. Mrs. Corselletti will read a short statement to support and honor Mrs. Moore, and then I will award her plaque at the end of the line. Thanks.
Good evening. Ann Landers once said, there are 3 kinds of people in the world: those that make things happen, those that watch things happen, and those that say what happened. The teacher that I am about to introduce makes things happen in her classroom. Katie Moore has been teaching social studies for almost 15 years and has consistently made her focus student learning. She sets high expectations for all students, is prepared, organized, and exhibits a caring attitude. Her lessons are innovative, and her classroom management allows students to become leaders and control their success. Katie's knowledge of the content and continual thirst to learn is one of the many reasons she is currently the leader of the Social Studies Department. She leads by example and does whatever it takes to get the job done. Punta Gorda Middle School is proud to have Katie Moore on our team and wish to congratulate her on being selected as the Middle School Social Studies Teacher of the Year. Congratulations, Katie.
we have one more outstanding teacher. So again, on behalf of the Charlotte County Public Schools, it is with great pleasure that I call up Mrs. Andrea Tarlowski, the AP Human Geography and AP Macroeconomics teacher from Charlotte High School, and her principal, Barney Duffy, for a presentation. Mr. Duffy will read a short statement, and I'll present a plaque to Andrea to honor her accomplishments.
Thank you, Donna. Good evening, board members, Dr. Whitaker. It's truly a pleasure to stand here this evening and introduce Andrea as the outstanding secondary teacher in social studies. Andrea, as you know, is a teacher at Charlotte High, but she's more than that. She is the embodiment of all that is good and right in education and in our profession today. She's been a teacher at Charlotte High since 2008. She's a quality instructor that goes the extra mile for her students. In all my years in education, I've never seen a teacher work any harder to make social studies come alive in the classroom and assist students to take responsibility for the world and the society in which they live. Andrea, as Donna just said, teaches advanced placement human geography, advanced placement macroeconomics, economics, and East-West heritage. She's got a busy schedule. She constantly and consistently pushes her students to think out of the box and applies a myriad of higher-order thinking skills that are relevant to the curriculum she is delivering. Her creativity and strong knowledge of the subject matter makes her classroom a place where kids can't wait to come. She, through her instructional delivery, fosters critical thinking, practical application to the real world. It is with a great deal of pride and pleasure that I present to you, Andrea, to receive this award tonight. Don't try to race her. She's a runner, and she just told me that I guess at the end of the year she's going to be running a 50-mile marathon. So not only is she a good teacher, she's got stamina. Congratulations, Andrea.
Thank you, Donna. Our second report this evening is the Meadow Park Elementary School Florida Friendly Landscaping recognition. I'm going to ask Gene Spur if he would come to the podium.
Madam Chair, school board members, Dr. Whitaker. It is a pleasure to be here tonight to present the Florida Friendly Landscape Recognition Award to Meadow Park Elementary for its Florida Friendly Landscape. We have here tonight Ralph Mitchell, who's the director of the Charlotte County Extension, along with Allison Turner, county coordinator for the Florida Yards program. In addition, Chris Lyons, operations manager for Charlotte County Public Schools, and Jan Gravlin, principal for Meadow Park Elementary. The Florida Friendly Landscape Program is sponsored by the University of Florida Institute of Food and Agricultural Science Extension Service and the Department of Environmental Protection in cooperation with the Florida Water Management District. The Florida Friendly Landscape Program offers recognition for having a Florida-friendly landscape to those who meet certain criteria. Recognition is granted to homeowners, homeowner association, and local governments through the Florida Yards and Neighborhoods. In addition, the Florida Friendly Landscape Program also offers recognition to new construction projects to meet the criteria. There are 4 criteria that need to be met in order to qualify for the award. They fall under vegetation and soils, irrigation, mulch, and maintenance. Meadow Park Elementary is being awarded the gold standard for its landscape design. And the credit for this award belongs to Chris, who since joining the district in 2003 has been intimately involved in all landscaping projects in the district, whether they were the large construction projects or the small school-based. Chris has brought the Florida native drought-resistant concept along with him from his days at the Ringley Museum. So with that said, I'd like to let Allison come up and share a couple of words.
Thank you. As he said, the Florida Yards and Neighborhoods, or Florida Friendly Landscaping Program, falls under the Charlotte County Extension Service. The program has been in Charlotte County almost 20 years, which is the length the program has been around in the state. And this checklist for new construction that Meadow Park is receiving today is less than a year old. They're the first school in Charlotte County to receive it. And the principles that we follow under Florida Friendly Landscaping, there's 9 principles that we like to teach folks about: right plant, right place, watering efficiently, mulching, planting for wildlife, recycling, managing yard pests responsibly, fertilizing appropriately, reducing stormwater runoff, and protecting the waterfront. And the checklist that Meadow Parks Landscape has met follows all those principles there. And I initially met with Chris on site July 7th of this year, so this has been in the works for a while. And we went through the checklist, and there were some things that we needed to do. He submitted a soil test as part of the requirements. And so the landscape, we went through the checklist, and it met all the gold level recognition requirements. They've planted a diverse, drought-tolerant plant palette, including butterfly attractors, ground covers, ornamental grasses, trees and shrubs, and using wood-based mulch. And all the landscape is thriving with no supplemental irrigation after it's been established. And they are retaining stormwater runoff on site, allowing it to be naturally filtered, and that's really important. All the gutter downspouts are directed onto mulched beds rather than asphalt. The mulched playground allows for better water filtration, recharging the aquifer, and decreases runoff. So, and they also took care to preserve native vegetation on site when the construction was taking place. So all of these things have lent themselves to this gold level recognition.
All right, the next item on the agenda is new business, the consent agenda. Mr. Superintendent.
This evening, Madam Chair, I am requesting school board approval of the consent agenda as it's presented to you this evening.
So moved. Second. It's moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there any board discussion? Seeing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Action agenda, item A, the Charlotte Local Education Foundation audit. Mr. Superintendent.
I'm pleased to bring this item to you this evening, and I'm going to ask Mary Fred Clemens to come forward, please, and discuss the presentation of this audit. And Betty, if you would, thank you, if you would join her.
Thank you, Dr. Whitaker, board members, and Ms. Young. Betty Gissendanner is our Charlotte Local Education Treasurer, and she would be able to answer any questions or present the information. Thank you.
Welcome, Ms. Gissendanner. It's always a pleasure.
Indeed it is. Madam Chair, esteemed board members, that includes you, Ian. Wow. Mr. Whitaker, Mrs. Young, parents and friends. CLEF, Charlotte Local Education Foundation, is a not-for-profit organization. We purpose to do exactly what we say we do. We function in 3 areas. We are the managers of the Take Stock in Children program. That's our signature program. We are your partners and your direct support provider. And we are also the organization responsible for recognizing the most outstanding teacher of the year and most outstanding support employee of the year. Our fiscal year runs concurrent with yours from July 1st through June 30th, and our audit was done by Summers, Horner, Daugherty, and Westby. It was a good thing to get a clean audit, of which a copy has been provided to each of you, and there were no discrepancies, and that we're always pleased with. If you look on page 13, there's a statement that makes it clear that indeed our audit is a clean audit, and this is our first year that we had a side-by-side comparison with the previous year, and our audit is in total compliance not only with the expectations of the auditor and the expectations set by your auditors. It also has met with the people who manage our day-to-day finances. So we're asking for your approval of our audit, that we might use it for other purposes as well.
Any questions for Ms. Gisendana? We appreciate and value our partnership with Charlotte Local Education Foundation, and it's really benefited our students and teachers and the entire community. So thanks for the work that you do.
Thank you.
Mr. Superintendent, do we have a recommendation?
Yes, I do. I am recommending school board acceptance of the Charlotte Local Education Foundation audit for the year July 2010 through June 30th, 2011.
So moved.
Second. Thank you very much.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the Charlotte Local Education Foundation audit. Is there any board discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next item is the Port Charlotte Middle School Castaldi report, and I see Mr. Williams in the audience who helped to oversee that. So, Mr. Superintendent?
I'm pleased to bring this to you this evening and make a recommendation that you accept the Castaldi report for Port Charlotte Middle School.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the Castaldi report for Port Charlotte Middle School. Is there any board discussion? Mr. Swift?
Only because I know that just the appearance of this item on the agenda is going to create a lot of questions by, I'm sure, folks at the school as well as people in the community about, well, if we're approving this, when are we going to start doing something? And that kind of interests me a little bit as well. And since I can't exactly figure out at this point in time how we would pay for it, but so what is the grand timeline that is envisioned for all of this, or are we just trying to prepare for a better day?
Actually, with the President Obama's rollout of his recovery plan, even though the chances of its approval is rather slim, there is a possibility that there could be a job stimulus bill that makes its way through Congress. We anticipate that if that happens, we would be on the receiving end of several $1 million, amount yet to be determined. And we would like to be prepared in the event that that happens to move forward. So this is one part wishful thinking and 2 parts long-range future planning.
It worked for Lemon Bay High School.
Yes. It did.
We're going to try our luck again.
Any other comments, discussion? Out of curiosity, if once we pass this, there's not like an expiration date. I mean, the only thing that would change is that the buildings would become older. So it would not at any time expire. Is that correct, Jack?
That is correct. It's not necessarily a timeline that you revisit based upon if the conditions of the building change, the age of the building change. But for the most part, it's only get more likely that demolition be recommended.
Right. It would exactly. Okay. Thank you. All right. You already made the recommendation, right?
That's correct. Yes.
We had a motion and a second. We're discussing. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Next item is item C on the action agenda, architect ranking middle schools master planning. Mr. Superintendent.
Related to the prior item, I am requesting your acceptance of the architect ranking for middle school master planning, with number 1 being Harvard Jolly, Inc., number 2, Parker Mudgett Smith, Architects, and number 3, Reynolds Smith and Hills.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the architect ranking of the middle school's master planning. Is there any board discussion? Mr. Superintendent, would you just remind the public that these rankings are come out of a committee's, or maybe you want Mr. Oliva to address
I'll
it?
have Mr. Oliva
But just
step
as a
to
quick
the
reminder
podium.
on how we reach these conclusions.
Okay.
Good evening. Yes, ma'am. You're absolutely correct. Following the professional services selection process that we have for years, a committee is put together that shortlists the submissions. I don't remember the exact amount of submissions, but a selection committee shortlist, then a selection committee made up of the folks that have signed the recommendation, representatives, principals from all 3 middle schools, representatives from the facilities department, then go through a presentation process with each shortlisted firm. They rank those firms, the tallies you have in front of you.
And I also see a community member, Donna Barrett, there,
That's
a parent.
yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses
No, I just
on.
want to be clear that
Yes, ma'am.
it's
A
not
community
just
member
district
as well.
people. Yeah, great. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Next item is the Punta Gorda Center Maintenance and Operations Facility and all the others, the guaranteed maximum price.
This evening, I'm bringing for your approval the request of the contract amendment number 1 for guaranteed maximum price with HX Building Corporation for the Punta Gorda Center Maintenance and Operations, Surplus Store, and Clinic remodel.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the Punta Gorda Center Maintenance and Operations Facility, the Surplus Store, the Clinic remodel. This is for the guaranteed maximum price, so we will be moving forward here if this is approved.
Yes, we will.
And I see Ajax people here ready to get going. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Gentlemen, thank you. Next item is the interim salary schedule 2011-2012. Mr. Superintendent.
I'm bringing forward this evening for your approval the interim salary schedule for the 2011-2012 school year.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the interim salary schedule 2011-2012. Is there any board discussion? I realize there's only minor changes, and it has to do with some language to clean up and the change in the
Yes, coming
hourly
into
rate and
line with the new federal minimum wage and state statute as far as master's degree pay.
right, and our holidays, the language
That's
and
correct.
holiday. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Next item is the personnel action as amended. Mr.
Yes,
Superintendent.
I'm requesting board approval of tonight's personnel action list and the addendum.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the personnel action, including personnel addendum number 1. Is there any board discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
That motion carries by a vote of 4-1. Ms. Dow, do we have any citizens who wish to speak tonight? Any citizens tonight who wish to speak before the board? Okay. Attorney comment, Ms. Young. Board member comment, Ms. Miller.
Okay. I will have tended several things, but the two with Veterans Week was patriotic concert, and it was outstanding. They had the high schools. They had Jackie Cushman, Angela Navarra, and Denise Jupe, and many others. And it was a combination of the high schools and elementary schools, and they did a beautiful job. And Senator Dietert also attended, and she commented how nice it was. The following day was the Veterans Day Assembly at Port Charlotte Middle School, and of course that I enjoy going to that every year. They do such a great job, and
the music teacher was here this evening, and they just, it's very moving. And they sing the one song where they recognize all the different armed forces and the people standing up, and it just gives you chills. It's so good. And then, of course, was Empty Bowls, and Joanne Winkler has been doing this for so many years, and it was a huge crowd, and I commend her for her constant participation in this, never giving up. And I want to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy it. Thank you.
Mr. Swift.
A couple of things, Madam Chairman. One little tidbit of both good news and bad news that I haven't, I've shared with a couple of you, but haven't with the rest. Gavin O'Brien, who was our interim superintendent between Dr. Schmidt and Dr. Gaylor, has finally decided to retire as the school board attorney in Hendry County, and he plans to do some traveling. I think he may have had one other county as well. His entire practice, as you may know, was all school board representation.
Mr. Swift, do you have any information on a event, a celebration in his honor, or anything that we might be able to
I know
send?
nothing about it other than I got an email today asking for information about how to go through an attorney selection process, and so I'm gathering some stuff.
If you hear
for
anything
them.
about a function or anything, let us know, because I think
will.
there are many of us in this district who might be interested in taking a little trip up there just to say hello and thank him for his service.
I think so too. He was an interesting individual, to say the least. I also attended the D.I. Singh Patriotic Concert at CPAC, and one of the things that I found out later that made the concert even more amazing was that the grand finale, where they had all the elementary school and all the different Charlotte High School choruses singing at once, that was the first time that entire group had been together to sing the song. So it was Lee Greenwood's God Bless the USA. And also there was another couple of songs done by the Charlotte Varsity Choir. And because those students are in two separate classes, they had never been together to perform their two songs as a group. They'd never practiced them together. So that made the quality of the performance stand out even more, and the talent not only of the kids but of the teachers that they have to be able to pull that off. And it was very well received. I had people tell me that evening and the next evening, next year you've got to involve all the elementary schools. And I said, well, we'd have to do it somewhere else to fit everybody in here, because the place was packed and they would put up extra chairs. But it was just very, very well received and well done. I was talking to Wayne Blanton today, and we got an email a few weeks ago about the change in the FCAT cut scores for the coming year. And there was a real process that was gone through that involved superintendents, principals, a pretty big group of people that arrived at what the cut scores should be. Well, apparently in the last day or two, the Bush Foundation folks have been making the rounds, and they have convinced the State Board of Education to raise those cut scores even more, that we're not setting the standard high enough. That's got some superintendents with their shorts in a twist rather severely, and the people that were a part of the process that was established by the state board very upset. They put in all the hard work of evaluating the new test, evaluating what the differences in the scores should be. There is an email today on the Union Bulletin Board from Brian Boughton of an article in the Jacksonville newspaper about this process. So I think there's going to be a little bit of an uproar at the next state board meeting about this and why that they deviated from the process that they established. Lastly, Dr. Whitaker and I had several meetings in Tallahassee with different members of the legislature, and our proposals for flexibility were well received, I thought. We got some significant encouragement from both the Senate and House leadership. Vern's been monitoring the process the last couple of weeks, and I think the next time the legislature gets together is the week after our December conference in Tampa, and we'll be pursuing following up with the different people that we talked to, in particular Representative Proctor, Senator Simmons, and Senator Wise. I have been asked to make my schedule available so that I will be in Tallahassee at least every other week during session. And I'm going to also divvy that burden up a little bit with the FSBA Executive Committee and the Legislative Chair so that we will have somebody there, at least 2 people there every week to carry the banner and make sure that all of these issues as they start to come to a head will get the attention that they deserve. I don't think that we're going to see a whole lot of action on things until the legislature deals with redistricting. That is their number one thing that they've got to get done early so that they can allow for all of the time for the lawsuits that will naturally evolve out of whatever they do. I have also received an email last week from the president of the National School Board Association appointing me to the Bylaws and Procedures Committee for NSBA for the coming year. I haven't a clue what that's about, but
bylaws are always really interesting.
Oh yeah. And
You're the right man for the job.
And having done that for 2 years for FSBA, it's a real treat.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Bylaws.
thank you, Madam Chairman.
We have complete faith in your ability to serve in that capacity. Mr. Vincent.
Just a couple quick things. One being Dr. Whitaker and I ran into Karen Candiani, who is our Emory-Riddle representative here. And she brought to our attention Charlotte County made it into 2 national aviation magazines, one being Flying, aptly named, the other being Aviation for Women. So I just brought these with me, and it's kind of exciting. People all around the world reading something about Charlotte County. And the other thing, I'm glad that Mary, Fred, and Betty stayed because we have our pumpkin run. Andrea, I know you're going to be there this Saturday at Bayshore Live Oak Park. It's 5K, so if you want to come run, please do. If you want to come and pay the registration fee to give some money to Clef and not run, you're welcome to do that too. So, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Randall.
Thank you. Dr. Whitaker, I always have Margie Smith tell me when you're going to be on the radio because I always see it as very interesting and informative because really, you set the record straight on so many things in education in general, and in particular, when I don't know if it was the caller or if it was the host and it doesn't matter who it is because you hear it all the time anyways. Back when I was growing up and we went to school, we had a good education system in this country. Yeah. And Dr. Whitaker said, and he set the record straight and said, no, we actually had a 50% dropout rate.
Yeah,
really,
1950s.
In the 1950s, yeah. A 50% dropout rate. And the 1957 Sputnik launching, showed us how ill-prepared our students were in math, science, and technology. So you talked about that, saying, no, we really weren't that good in education system. Maybe they thought it was good because 50% dropped out and it left the kids who wanted to have an education. And then always which is the talk now, is that teachers are the only profession in this state or in this country that have tenure, and they have a job for life if they want it. And again, Dr. Whitaker said, no, that's not true. Our teachers have 1 year and 45 days, if they are ineffective, to get their act together and become an effective teacher, or else they will be gone. So it's not a lifetime tenure as so many people, including our governor, think that our teachers have. So thank you for setting the record straight on so many things. And when you are on the radio, you always you interject a lot of humor in with it, and just it makes it so it's not a rigid lesson that you're teaching everybody. You make it very comfortable for people to accept what the reality is, and thank you for doing that. And I'm glad you do it. It really helps us. And after the Veterans Parade, Mrs. Miller and Lee Swift and Dr. Whitaker and I were both all three of us, four of us, I guess, were at the parade. And right after that, I went to the Art Sensation, and the Peace River Panther Chorus with Angela Navarro directing happened to be on stage right as I walked in, so that was real nice to see them singing their leadership song, and the audience all clapping along and really getting a kick out of our students singing. And then walking around, all our students' artwork plastered all over the walls, and people standing around and commenting on that. So it's nice of the Arts and Humanities Council. I know you serve on the board with that.
And Ellen Harvey is also.
Oh, that's right, of course.
Yeah.
And Ellen Harvey put a lot of that together. So it's nice to have that partnership with the Arts and Humanities Council to help us with the arts and education. And finally, we all received that transportation newsletter, I think, with Mr. Duckworth looking so suave and debonair in his uniform, since it was a Veterans Day newsletter issue. So looking good, Mr. Duckworth. And that's it.
I will follow up on the arts issue, because the drums that we had before tonight's meeting, I remember, golly, it might have been 4 years ago when they first talked about bringing drums into Charlotte County through a grant. And none of the teachers really had ever taught drumming, like that kind of drumming. And the whole idea was to expose children who might be intimidated by other types of instruments to the drums, because they're more tactile, and you really don't have to have much rhythm in order to kind of do it. And so I was really thrilled to see them into the middle school, because originally it was at the high school level, and I think we've come a long way, and I just really enjoyed the drums. The other thing I just wanted to mention tonight is the insurance re-enrollment period that ends on Friday, and the ease with which the employees have been able to complete the process, probably mostly because we didn't have to raise the rates, and I recognize the ease of just continuing things. But the reason we didn't have to raise the rates is because we put measures in place to help mitigate some of the increasing costs. And so I don't want that to be left unmentioned, because I think it's important, and I think it really benefited us this year. So that was my other comment. And Mr. Superintendent, how about you?
Just to reiterate what Mr. Swift said earlier, we believe that our time spent in Tallahassee was productive. We will see what comes of that. But so far, there seems to be pretty widespread support for creating some form of district autonomy. Right now, the term is charter district. We'll see where that goes. We also talked with our representatives about eliminating unnecessary mandates and gave them some suggestions of where to begin on that. And pushed again for the reinstatement of the 0.25 mil and allowing that to come back to the local board's supermajority vote. We have local boards for that purpose. They can be responsive. They can be responsive to the community needs and desires. Empty Bowls also was there on that Thursday night, and the turnout was amazing. It was just amazing. The room was filled from 5 minutes after they opened the doors until I left after that, and a lot of high energy, enthusiasm. The Yaya girls were there selling 50-50 tickets, and we were able to get in a little plug for their program. The fact that they send home approximately 650 backpacks full of food every weekend with children in this district, and we have a waiting list for another 600 and some kids. I also went to the Port Charlotte Middle School Veterans Day program, which is a tradition, and again this year was absolutely outstanding. The kids, the chorus, the band, the speakers were terrific, and especially impressive was the 8th grade class, which if you didn't see them sitting there, you would never know they were in the room. They managed their behavior. They were quiet. They were respectful. They were enthusiastic when it was called for. It was really impressive. I think that the most moving part of the program was the response of the veterans who were sitting there, many of whom had tears coming down their cheeks in appreciation for the recognition, and they were moved by the program. So it was just a wonderful event. And finally, we have, thank you. I do want to extend to all of our employees and our students and their families a happy Thanksgiving. Remember that in spite of all the stuff around us that can get us down and be a little bit overwhelmed between the economy and the wars and the unrest and all of that, we choose our weather every day. And we can make our day sunny and bright, or we can make it gloomy and dark. And my encouragement is to be proactive and make your day sunny and bright. During this period of time, this time of year, just think about all of the wonderful things that you have to be thankful for. And start with your family and relationships and go from there. But just a real encouragement to focus on what we have that is so good and that we can be thankful for. On a little more somber note, I do want to let the board know that we had 2 employees that passed away during the last 30 to 45 days. Deborah Jalen was a para 2 at Charlotte Harbor School in Danuta. Miss Yazik, food service assistant at L.A. Ainger, and just to keep their families in your thoughts and prayers during this time of year. That's it.
Thank you. Then if there's no further business to come before the board, meeting is adjourned.